Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayadmudirayet. Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shlokir bhaktir bhavatir naishtikir. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 2, Verse 30. Remembrance of Lord Krishna. Prayuktan bhojarajena maina kamarupinaha Leelaya vyanudattam stan balakridana kanniva. Prayuktan bhojarajena maina kamarupinaha Leelaya vyanudattam stan balakridana kanniva. Prayuktan, engaged. Bhojarajena, by King Kamsa. Mainaha, great wizards. Kamarupinaha, who could assume any form they liked. Leelaya, in the course of the pastimes. Vyanudat, killed. Tan, them. Tan, as they came there. Bala, the child. Kridanakan, dolls. Iva, like that. Translation. The great wizards who were able to assume any form were engaged by the king of Bhoja, Kamsa, to kill Krishna, but in the course of his pastimes, the Lord killed them as easily as a child breaks dolls. Purport by His Divine Grace of Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The atheist Kamsa wanted to kill Krishna just after his birth. He failed to do so, but later on he got the information that Krishna was living in Vrindavana at the house of Nanda Maharaj. He therefore engaged many wizards who could perform wonderful acts and assume any form they liked. All of them appeared before the child Lord in various forms, like Agha, Baka, Utana, Shakata, Trinavarta, Dhenuka, and Gardhava. And they tried to kill the Lord at every opportunity. But one after another, all of them were killed by the Lord, as if he were only playing with dolls. Children play with toy lions, elephants, boars, and many similar dolls, which are broken by the children in the course of their playing with them. Before the Almighty Lord, any powerful living being is just like a toy lion in the hands of a playing child. No one can excel God in any capacity, and therefore no one can be equal to or greater than him. Nor can anyone attain the stage of equality with God by any kind of endeavor. Jnana, Yoga, and Bhakti are three recognized processes of spiritual realization. The perfection of such processes can lead one to the desired goal of life in spiritual value, but that does not mean that one can attain a perfection equal to the Lord's by such endeavors. The Lord is the Lord at every stage. When he was playing just like a child on the lap of his mother Yashodamai, or just like a cowherd boy with his transcendental friends, he continued to remain God, without the slightest diminution of his six opulences. Thus, he is always unrivaled. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadhamaiham Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathamritam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhamritamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kantha Radha Kantha Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Happy Bhishma Panchaka to all of you. I offer my respects to all the assembled devotees, as well as to Mother Prabhuji for engaging me in this wonderful service of discussing Srimad Bhagavatam with all of you. My mom just informed me today that today in Jagannath Puri, Lord Jagannath will be dressed as in his Nagarjuna Vesha. And it really goes well with the verse today, because today we are discussing how Lord Krishna, Lord Jagannath, he easily killed all of the demons that came to Vrindavan. And the Nagarjuna Vesha, what it symbolizes is, as Parshuram, the Lord killed Sahasra Arjun on this day, one of the first of the Kshatriya kings on his list before he killed all of the dynasties of the Kshatriya kings. So here we are discussing how Lord Krishna killed all of the demons as easily as a child breaks dolls. So these analogies, like a child breaks dolls, like a lion cub, like fire covered by smoke, devotees have been mentioning these continuing discussions of analogies. And this is the last of the analogies Vidura and Maitreya discuss in comparing how Lord Krishna, how easily he destroys the demons, simply just like a child breaks dolls while playing with them. So this specific analogy, it is to show, just as Srila Prabhupada mentions at the end of the purport, the Lord is always unrivaled. So in order to prove this statement, Vidura and Maitreya, they discuss as such with this specific analogy to show that the Lord Krishna, is never ever unrivaled. Whether he is as Parshuram, there are 22 families of Kshatriya kings that he must destroy, or whether he is little Krishna and various demons appear in the forms of Agha, Baka, Utana, Shakata, Drinavarta, and so on, as Prabhupada mentioned, trying to kill the Lord at every opportunity. Still, the Lord is unrivaled. Still, he's able to defeat all of them, just as a child breaks dolls. And in order to understand the power of this specific statement, we need to understand the type of siddhis, the type of powerful, Prabhupada mentions this word, wizards, maina, the powerful wizardry of these demons. Pralamba Sura, he could transform himself into a gigantic giant. Putana, she could shapeshift into any form she desired, whether she wanted to be a beautiful woman or any other form she would like. Just by her own desire, she could change. Drinavarta, he had the power to cause tornadoes and in himself become a tornado in order to create havoc among villagers and people of this world. So the siddhis of these wizards, these demons, is unparalleled in our material limited conception. And so when we hear Krishna, he is able to break, he's able to destroy, he's able to finish these wizards just as a child breaks dolls. It gives us a certain idea of the power Lord Krishna holds. And these wizards, they attain these powers by prayer, right? They attain Ravana by great tapasya. He pleased Lord Brahma, and he attained so many powers. Similarly, all of these demons, all of these wizards, as Prabhupada uses the word, they were all engaged by Kamsa. After gaining these wonderful powers through their prayers, only then were they able to have these powers. But something that happens is that these demons, they forget that these boons are given to them by someone else. They are gifts given by Brahma himself in order to satisfy their needs. And so because they think it's theirs, it covers their intelligence. So Pralambasura, Putana, Trinavarta, Kamsa, Ravana, they start to think of themselves as the proprietor, as the controller of the situation. And Srila Prabhupada, he gives a wonderful story in this regards. We've heard it many times in Sunday school growing up. It's called Punarmushiko Bhavaha, of a sage. And there is a little mouse that comes to the sage, and the mouse says, "Oh, dear sage, this cat is always chasing me. Please, I don't see any other solution to this problem, but I will become a cat." So the sage, he's in meditation. He doesn't want to be disturbed. And he says, "Tathastu. Okay, so be it. You can now become a cat." So this cat, who becomes a mouse, he enjoys his life for some time. But then he comes back again to the sage. And he asks, "Oh, my dear sage, so much problem. This dog is chasing me all the time, all around the village. Please, I see no other solution. Will you please make me a dog?" So the sage, he's again busy in meditation, and he wants to let this cat go. So he says, "Okay, tathastu. Now, you want to be free from a lion? You become a lion yourself." So this mouse, who had been a cat, this dog who had been a cat, who had been a mouse, is now a lion. So this lion, he enjoys life for some time, and finally he comes to the sage, and he looks at the sage, and the sage says, "What do you want now?" And the tiger says, "I want to eat you." And then the sage says, "Become a mouse again. Punar mushiko bhavaha." So that tiger, that lion, who was a dog, who was a cat, who was a mouse, again he becomes a mouse. So Prabhupada uses this story in the 10th canto to show how demons or people with a materialistic agenda, they attempt to, Prabhupada uses these words, kill God. They attempt to kill Krishna by the attempts of their mystic siddhis, their mystic powers. They attempt to become God. And when they can't be God, when this mouse who had become a lion, when he realizes that he can't become God, they decide, "Oh, I can't be God, then there can be no God." And so the tiger tries to kill the sage representing Krishna, and the mouse representing the living entity, who goes through so many different ups and downs throughout the world, and finally realizes that they can't become God through so many ways they realize. So similarly, these demons, by trying so many ways to control their situation. They try to become God. But of course, as Prabhupada says, Krishna continued to remain God without the slightest diminution of his 6 opulences. No one can excel God in any capacity, and no one can be equal to or greater than him. And through any kind of endeavor, Prabhupada mentions that although we may try to control our situations, in the end we cannot. And that is the entire purport of the Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna realizing that he is in fact not the doer, that I am not the doer, actually Krishna is the doer. I am simply nimitta matram. I am simply an instrument in Krishna's service, as he explains in chapter 11 of the Bhagavad Gita. So this idea of being toys in Krishna's hands, being instruments in Krishna's hands, as Prabhupada likes to say, puppets in Krishna's hands, is pervasive throughout our transcendental literature. And I think it is especially important, especially during this time, during this COVID time. I can personally attest to the fact that thinking that this sophomore year in college for me was going to be this year where I would take absolute control of my life. Whole other dynamic shift would happen. I would get internships. I would try to start my job search. I would try to do all of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 things on my list. But then Mother Pandemic comes and she totally shifts the dynamic. And now again, I am brought to my knees. And again, I'm showed by Krishna that I'm not the doer. I'm not the controller. And we see that in the example of Gajendra. Gajendra, he is the Gajendra. He's the king of elephants. Yet a simple crocodile comes over, and because he's out of his element, he fights for lifetimes upon lifetimes upon lifetimes to free himself from this crocodile. But finally, when he realizes, I can't go on any further. Oh, my dear Lord Vishnu, I depend on you alone. When he simply lifts up his arms and surrenders, offering a small lotus flower to the Lord, then only is he freed from his misery. When he surrenders, are we freed from misery? And for me, this entire experience with coronavirus and quarantine has been a similar experience where it has just all been a wonderful process of surrender. Surrendering our expectations, surrendering my ideas of what 2020 would be, surrendering all my expectations of what I would do, my plans and my plans, and instead just surrendering to Krishna's plan. So this entire experience of coronavirus has been such that to realize that we are actually all dolls in Krishna's hands, that we are all just puppets in Krishna's hands, that we are all just nimitta matram, that we are just all instruments in Krishna's hands. So this whole episode of coronavirus has been such for me, and that hopefully I can overcome and more as Krishna breaks my ego like he's breaking dolls, that I can realize that I am not the doer. I am not the one going for job internships or anything like that. I'm simply an instrument in Krishna's hands. That has been very illuminating for me, that I also have some skaras that are tending to be demoniac tendencies that try to infiltrate my consciousness in order to show that I am more of the doer, which I am not. And so this illuminates for us the difference between the demoniac mentality and the devotee mentality. So the devotee mentality, it is centered around selfless service. Devotees want to uplift each other. Devotees want to engage everyone in Krishna's service. Devotees want to make Krishna the center, while the demoniac tendency, the materialistic tendency, is to do the opposite. It is to think of ourselves equal to or greater than God. So we find ourselves in this trap thinking of ourselves greater than Krishna or equal to Krishna, that we are the Purusha. And this can often lead us down to the path of Durvasa Muni or Duryodhana. So here we see in this picture a beautiful picture of Ambarisha Maharaj. Ambarisha Maharaj, he was such a pious king, and he engaged all of his citizens in the service of deities of Radha Krishna throughout the country. And Durvasa Muni here, he is representing the materialistic tendency. Seeing a simple fault in Ambarisha Maharaj, he sends a fire demon towards him. But Ambarisha Maharaj, being a surrendered devotee of the Lord, even this fire demon cannot touch him. And instead, Durvasa Muni, he is chased around the three worlds by the Sudarshan Chakra. And finally, he must fall down at the feet of Ambarisha Maharaj. And so it shows the difference between the demoniac tendency and the devotee tendency. And here on the right, we have a picture of Yudhishthira Maharaj. Yudhishthira Maharaj, he during the Rajasuya sacrifice, the first of the remnants of the Rajasuya sacrifice, he gives to Krishna. Although there is Lord Brahma present, Lord Shiva present, Narada Muni present, still he gives the first remnant to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He engages all of the residents of his country in the service of Lord Krishna. So that is the difference between the demoniac and the devotee tendency. First, in the devotee tendency, first there is Krishna, but in the demoniac tendency, first there is me. What are my plans? What are my goals in life? What are my aspirations? And then the devotee tendency is to flip that on its head and say, what are Krishna's plans? What are Krishna's desires? What are Krishna's aspirations? So here we may think, by looking at all of the examples of so many demons, that perhaps it is the power given to them by Brahma or Shiva or by these great demigods that must be degrading them. But when we see the examples of these great devotees of the Lord, Yudhishthira and Ambarisha Maharaj, we see that it's actually not power that degrades one, it is their consciousness. In the example of Jagai and Madai were such sinners. Where they went through so much, they did so much sin, they did all kinds of unspeakable acts. Yet, simply by the association of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and especially the great mercy of Nityananda Mahaprabhu, were they able to overcome their anarthas and were they able to surrender. So here we see the difference between the demoniac tendency, the demoniac heart, and the demons themselves. So it is one thing to kill a demon. It is one thing for Krishna to kill the demons. It is one thing to kill a criminal. It is another thing to change a criminal. It's another thing to kill the demon of the heart, as is done by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with Jagai and Madai, and with so many countless devotees, changing their lives and changing our lives also. There are so many. Jayapataka Maharaj, I was listening in his katha yesterday, and he was speaking about how there are so many demons, so many materialistic people in this age today. So it would be impossible to kill all of them. That would be too cruel. And instead, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he comes down and he kills the demons of the heart. And in being Kartik today, we were in Sunday school, we were reflecting, and Devkin Guruji was talking about the specific pastime of Damodar Leela. And he made the point of how Narad Muni, the curse of Narad Muni, was actually a blessing in disguise for the sons of Kubera, Nala Kubera and Manigriva. They were so unfortunate and totally intoxicated. But Narad Muni could have, by his Brahmana Tejas, he could have cursed them. He could have killed them. But because of his mercy, Narad Muni gave Nalakuvera and Manigirva such a curse that it was actually a blessing in disguise. Being able to see the pastimes, the mesmerizing pastimes of Lord Damodara and attain love of God through that curse. What a curse. And so Devkinanda Prabhuji, he made this wonderful point in Sunday school, that if I am to be cursed, let it be through the mouths, through the words of a pure devotee. Because a pure devotee, their curses are actually blessings in disguise. So I was reflecting on this for myself, that whenever my seniors or someone would like to correct me, or would like to improve me for the better, I should see that as a blessing. I should see their chastisement as a blessing. I should see their chastisement as helpful to my Krishna consciousness, and in that way I will thrive. And following on this beautiful path of us being dolls in Krishna's hands, that Krishna can make or break us, that we are simply puppets in Krishna's hands, I wanted to sing this small excerpt from Srila Prabhupada's Markine Bhagavata Dharma, which was written by him in the cold winter of Boston Harbor when he first reached in the end of the 1960s. So it goes like this. Ani acho jadi Prabhu amare na chate, ani acho jadi Prabhu amare na chate, nachao Prabhu, nachao se mate, nachao Prabhu, nachao se mate, kashtera putali jatha, nachao se mate, kashtera putali jatha, nachao se mate, nachao Prabhu, nachao se mate. The translation: O Lord, I am just like a puppet in your hands. So if you have brought me here to dance, then make me dance. Make me dance. O Lord, make me dance as you like. So here Srila Prabhupada is showing us the prime example of what it means to be a true doll, to be a true puppet in Krishna's hands. And even Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, and what happens at the end of us leaping into Krishna's arms as just these instruments in his service. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Na me bhaktya pranashyanti, declare it boldly, O son of Kunti, my devotee never perishes. So we see that in the example of our founder Acharya, what it truly means at the age of 60 to come over across the seas to spread Hare Krishna with no other personal agenda, what it truly means, and to see the success that he has had in changing our lives, the ability and power of the devotees in what happens when we fully surrender to Krishna. So it's a guidepost for me where I can go. Of course, I am not at all even close there, but it shows me where I can go if I just have faith in Krishna. So with that, I would like to end this class. I would love to hear